everybody. Welcome to episode 89 of All About African Violets. All About African Violets is sponsored musically by Ted Yoder. You can hear his wonderful music on his website at tedyoder.com. It is also available from iTunes. Hi everybody, come on into the sunroom. I gotta tell you, it is a gorgeous day in Chicagoland. Finally, it's June 6th on Saturday when I'm recording. You'll see this tomorrow, June 7th. I've been outside all day, so I think I look a little pink, even though I had plenty of sunscreen on and a hat. I was in the Forest Preserve all day. My cousins got a band, kind of a garage kind of band, and they were playing at the Forest Preserve, and it was really fun. And I was out there with my other cousins and all these other people, and it was great. Anyway, it's the first gorgeous day, really gorgeous day that we've had. We've had a crazy winter here in Chicagoland. So I keep just kind of looking over out the window in the sunroom here. It just is beautiful out, really beautiful. Well, I want to thank you all for the feedback on the length of the podcast. Apparently, I'm on the right track, and I try to stay between about 30 to 40 minutes. I do think much longer is then too long. So, but according to you guys, all is well. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. And I'm glad you like my new kitchen. I do too. I really do. It's really wonderful. And I think the plants even look pretty good when I'm working with them in there, even though the counter's dark now instead of light. Well, we're going to go right into tips and treasures because we've got questions, which is so fun. We have questions. We haven't had questions in forever. So, Jeff, first question is related to standard African violets and restarting the crown or removing most of the rows of leaves from a mature plant which you have exhibited. Some of the crowns which were placed under the dome appeared to be in 2.5-inch pots, and on some of the shelves it appeared that you removed several rows of leaves and left the mature plant's crown in a 4-inch pot. Would you mind talking about this at some point? Jeff, I don't mind at all. I will talk about it at some point. I'm not going to talk about it today, though, because I have some other stuff to show you. But I will talk about it. And what you're saying is pretty much right on the money. Just briefly, when I restarted the crowns, they're in solo cups under the dome. The plants that are on the stand, one of the stands is next to me here in the sunroom. The plants that are on the stand are, if they were okay and they just needed to have some, I usually will take at least the bottom row off and then slice a little bit of the root ball off, drop it back down into the pot, and I'll be showing you guys how I do this. I'll try to do that. I'll try to use that footage next week for you so you can see it. Oh, and Cajun's Cherished Hope, you asked about that one specifically. It is in a 4-inch pot, and pretty much all my standards are in a 4-inch pot. Jersey Snowflakes was in a 5-inch pot, and so is my species Rupicola. But and the two standard trailers, they're in 5-inch pan pots. But the regular plants, they're all in 4-inch pots. So then Dakota said, I would like to make a suggestion. Please show us the plants that did not do well in your conditions or did not bloom true before they go to their great reward. For example, I would have liked to see what happened to Heartland's Lime Sherbet before that went to its great reward. Dakota, this is a really good request, and I will do my best to do that. I can just tell you sometimes there's nothing really wrong with a plant. It's just that my interest has changed in it, or I don't feel it's really growing that well in my conditions, and I let it go. So, and I'm pretty sure that's what I did with Heartland's Lime Sherbet, although usually Dale's plants grow very well for me. She's here in Illinois, and she's on the other side of the state, but we're in a similar climate. But I will do that going forward. Sue asked, what does it mean to start new crowns? When and why do you do that? And could you show us what that means? Also, I'd like to see more examples of grooming trailers. Sue, I will, and yes, there will be more info about trailers. I will definitely, and it's pretty much a similar question to what Jeff had. I will pull the footage that I did of the crowns, and the reason that you would restart them. generally speaking, is that you've let a plant go too long, so that it's got now a neck like a palm tree, and that's too hard to pot back down into a pot and let it continue to grow. Sometimes it's just better to restart a crown, and I'll show you that footage. I'll do that next week for sure. Well, so I did want to share one other thing with you guys. When I was at Nashville, this is something I have been wanting to do for a while. This is the Canadian, the African Violet Society of Canada's publication, their magazine. It's called Chatter. And I believe that they're quarterly. This is April to June 2015. This is the most recent edition. I met Sayeh Beheshti. She is the editor of this. And this is I actually have not had the opportunity since I came home to truly read it all the way. It is black and white inside. The covers are color. But it is chock full of stuff, guys. I mean, there is a lot of info in here, and I'm very excited. I think I'm the newest life member of the African Violet Society of Canada. It seemed like a really good deal to buy a life membership, so I did. So I just wanted to share that with you. I will be, hopefully this week, reading it so that I could share, as I do when the magazine comes. Now I can, when, the African Violet magazine comes, now I can also share the Canadian magazine with you, which I think is great. So we're still on Trips and Treasures, but we're gonna look at what's on the stands here shortly. But first, I want you to see, I have some footage for you of all the stuff that I did all the stuff you saw last week, the sitting on the counter stuff, all of that stuff now has been either potted into my own potting mix, or the leaves have been put down in my own mix. So I want to show you that process, okay? So take a look, and I'll be right back. Okay, everyone, I'm here in my kitchen, and I have all of these plants. It's Monday, it's my recovery day. I have all these leaves, I have plantlets, I have all kinds of stuff here that I need to now begin to integrate into my collection. And I thought I would share this with you. I think you've seen it before, but it never hurts to see it again. And I like to work in two spaces only because it's easier to use the sink up here than it is in the basement. So here I have laid out all of my leaves and plantlets and things that I want to start with. I've got my solo cups, I've got my Sharpie marker, and I will show you the next step. So here we go, step 2. I've identified, everything. We already had step 1, we identified what we were going to start with. Step 2, I've made solo cups for everything with the date, and I've put it next to the leaf, okay, or plantlet. In some cases here I've got like a sucker, and then I've got a very cool way that my friend Neil Lipson does plantlets. He puts them in these medicine bottles, and they make a safe trip. It's great. And my third step is wash the tray, guys. Wash the tray and the lid that you're going to use. Because A, it never hurts, to do a little cleanup. But B, for me, this tray and lid were in a closed cupboard downstairs in the basement, and they still had construction dust on them. So I've cleaned them up. So I'll be right back to show you the next steps. Okay, so now these are the first 2 leaves that I'm going to work with, and they are Kay's Tipsy Spritzer. This is hybridized by Kathy Hayner in New Mexico. Actually, it's a very interesting plant, and you can see how I have it packaged up. It made the trip home very, very well. I have tin foil, and under the tin foil I had, let's see if I can get it unwrapped well. Yeah, just some cotton, some wet cotton, to just kind of keep this damp. Of course, we're going to make a new cut on these, but the first thing I do is wash them. And again, we're going to just wash them. I'm washing them in the kitchen sink. And the water should be lukewarm. It should not be too hot, should not be too cold. That's good. And I'm just going to rinse them. And then I use Dawn dishwashing liquid. Put some in my hand. Get it sudsed up. And then I just gently, you have to be gentle because you can break the leaf. Just gently wash the leaf in dishwashing soap. And it's not very good to run the water this long, I know, particularly those of you in California who are saying, there's a drought, Annie. But I'm stopping after this one because I will do a bunch of them all at once. I just wanted to be able to show you what it looks like. So here, one clean leaf, and over here I have some paper towel. Rinse the other. There. So now I'm just going to set this here because it's on a rack. So here are these leaves. They're clean. And I will get another paper towel. And I will gently, I think you've seen me break a leaf before, so just gently blot this dry. There we go. So these now are clean. They're ready to go downstairs. I've made 2 cups for them because so I'm just going to set them like this. And here's the bag. Here's my tray. I'm going to set them in my tray. And then I will fill this tray up and take it down to the basement. This is another step. I've washed all the leaves, and they are all the leaves that were loose leaves. So you can see they're sitting here in their little cups waiting to go downstairs. Now you have to hope that you don't fall down the stairs with the tray. Because if you do, all bets are off. But this, as I mentioned to you, my friend Neil Lipson put plantlets in these little pill bottles. And now I have to get it out of there. Hang on, I'm going to go get my tweezers. I have my tweezers, my bent nose tweezers. Now, guys, the bent nose tweezers, they are sharp. So you have to be very gentle with them. But I'm just going to gently pull it out. And he just had a little bit of sphagnum moss in there to keep it damp. And both Carolee and I did give these a spray of water, a little squirt. And now you can see that there are no roots. I mean, there is no soil. There are a few roots. This is a sucker. This plant happens to be a chimera. So now what I will do is I will just gently wash this like I've washed the leaves and rest it down. And since I will likely give it a fresh cut when I go to pot it, but I wanted to show you that's a very different way of transporting tiny plantlets. Guys, this is a little different. Now this one is Granger's Wonderland. Again, it's a plantlet, but this time we've got some leaves that have fallen off of it, and there is, in addition to the moss, there is some potting mix on this. So you never want to keep someone else's potting mix. You want to gently tease it off of here and then rinse off the root ball. So I'm gonna put some paper towel down here in the sink and there's moss that was there to keep it moist. And then I'm gonna do my best by hand to get the mix off of the roots. This has a pretty substantial root ball. If there were to be a problem First of all, nobody sells a plant or gives a plant to someone knowingly that has a pest issue. Nobody does that. So, but sometimes things happen, and to guard against that, this is one of those steps that I like to take. I will get as much off of here as I can. So I've gotten quite a bit now. And now we're back with the lukewarm water. Now I'm just going to rinse this off. I will rinse what's left of it off. Alternatively, I could have just sliced this with my X-Acto, you know, right about here with my X-Acto knife, which I may still do, but I just wanted to show you how I do this. Okay? Now, lots of roots, but I don't see any potting mix. Okay? This is a leaf that, a rooted leaf, which they're sometimes sold at National, and this is where I got it. And it's already starting to sprout. So I am just very, very gently, again, just removing this from the potting mix that it's in, and then I will toss that. And I've got my new solo cup ready for it here. Can't find the edge on it. There we go, on the paper towels. And once again, I'm doing this up near the top of the faucet where it is not so, the water's not so hard, you know, like banging down. It's more gentle. And I've not done this one, I've not done this before myself. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully I won't lose it. I know these are just little snippets cut back and forth, guys, but things come up as I'm doing this that I want to show you. And this one had a couple of leaves, three, four leaves in it, but not all of them made it. So sometimes that happens, you know, and so you know that's done. But I will work with these two, and we'll cross our fingers. Okay. Here are all the leaves and some of the smaller plantlets and the sucker, all sitting here in the tray ready to go downstairs. Now, here are the plantlets that are pretty well established, most of them. There are still a couple that are a little bit small, but the process will be the same. I'll do cups for them. I will then get as much of the dirt that's on them off the root ball, give it a rinse, put it in the cup, and then these will all go downstairs as well. A couple like this one, which is Watermelon Bay, and I bought that because Carol Lee bought it and it was really pretty, and I thought, oh, I think I'm seduced by a blossom. Anyway, it's in bloom. It will be disbudded, and so will Dresden Doll. This it's got a leaf there. It looks like it got a little too wet. See, but it's got some blossoms, so I'll be disbudding that one too, and then we'll join me in the basement. Well, here is the tray that I'm getting ready to take down to the basement. So now all the leaves are in their cups, and all the plantlets have been washed and taken out of their pots and put into cups with their names on it as well. And you'll see these on the shelves in the weeks to come. I'll be right back. So yeah, I got 37 varieties when I was at National, and that puts me back at about 67 varieties at the moment. So I kind of wanted to talk briefly about that because you guys know that I was down to about 28 varieties, and now I have 67. And that's a huge, huge difference. And when you see the look at what's on the stands here in a moment, you are going to see how I rearrange things in the house and how that looks for the moment. And now I have one less stand than I used to have. as you know, my big stand, the 4 foot by 2 foot, the 2x4 one that was in the basement, I donated to the Garfield Park Conservatory here in Chicagoland. Boy, they were so excited to get it. And so I don't have that stand anymore. So I've had to create a different isolation area in the house, and you're going to see that. But what I kind of really do want to talk to you about is that, yes, I got 37 varieties, and people are like, Annie, I thought you were cutting down, and oh my gosh, I thought you weren't going to buy anything at National, and I wasn't. I thought, oh, I'm going to get maybe 10 because some friends are going to bring me leaves or plantlets, and really that's all I want. Well, you know what? If you're going to buy plants, National is the place to buy them. AVSA commercial growers are there. When you purchase from them, you are supporting them, and they support the AVSA, and I think that's important. So I do that. If I'm going to ramp up, it's going to happen at National. So this is pretty similar to last year and the year before, where I come home with a whole lot of plantlets. But I know that over time, not all of those 37 varieties are going to make it. Here's how it goes. So I came home with 37 varieties, and so not all of those leaves, it's likely that not all of those leaves will make it. Some of them may just rot away under the dome. They just maybe were, a little too far gone, or they were cranky and they're just not going to make it. So of the ones that do make it, not all of them are going to bloom true. And I grow for show. So if a plant is not blooming true, it's not something that I am likely to continue to give shelf space to. So of the ones that do bloom true, not all of them are going, the foliage on them, not all of them are going to shape up for show. And if the foliage won't shape up, that's just as important as the blossom. So, and of the ones that bloom true and the foliage does shape up for show, not all of them are going to truly like to grow in my conditions. They just might not. They might make it through one bloom cycle and then just never, because I will let them bloom initially to make sure they're blooming true, but they just may not be happy here in Chicagoland. That happens. And of the ones that are blooming true and have great foliage and like it here in Chicagoland, there are some that I'm just not going to be happy with. I'm not going to like them. So, and then, so it becomes a process of, of letting things go and stuff that is okay, then the decisions become tough. It's a great plant. Maybe I'll keep it for a while. Maybe it'll make it to one show maybe, and then I'll kind of, maybe it doesn't want to continue. I mean, I've had that happen before. And as always, I do often come home, and I have this time as well, with some semi-minis and some miniatures, which, as we all know, I'm not always the greatest grower of. And so I may not grow them really well. We will see. But I kind of wanted to talk about that. I mean, I won't have 67 varieties forever. It will again begin to drop down to a much more manageable number, is what I'm trying to say. So now that we've talked about that, I want you to go and take a look on the stands. You'll see what I've done in the guest room, which is now where the isolation area is, and you'll see the stand that's next to me here. You're going to see it looks a lot different. It's pretty crowded. You guys are used to seeing my stands being a little open and airy. So take a look. All right, we're here in the guest room, and I think this is interesting. This is Jersey snowflakes. You see that lower row of leaves? I had to take so many off. You can see there's quite a neck in there, and there's a sucker in there that I didn't see before. So that when this plant gets repotted, it'll be down, and these will be resting a little closer up rather than hanging down. But this has become, the guest room is now my isolation area. And I opened the, this is the one that has the slots. And I just kind of opened that up today. These are all the plantlets, the things that already had roots. And so they've been growing in here. They've just, since the weekend, since Monday, I should say, when I had a chance to put everything, get all that work done. And then in here are all the leaves and the crowns that were restarted. There's one right there. So far, everything's looking good. I don't see anything rotting or looking wonky. So let's head down to the basement. Well, there's nothing going on down here yet, but everything still looks pretty good. Really. I have them sitting up on reservoirs, even though they are not in reservoirs. They're just in saucers. And everything's looking pretty good down here. Let's go upstairs. Okay, this is where things are crowded. So I'm just gonna back up so you can see that this is a pretty full stand now. And try not to go too fast. This is Cajun Swamp Trail, Jolly Jan. These two are Optimara My Sensation. This is Fisherman's Paradise. This is Roulette. This, I believe, is Edge of Darkness. Yes, it is. And this is Cajun's McKenna Trail. This is Species Orbicularis verpurpurea. And this is Species Orbicularis. You can see I need to do a little bit of grooming. We've got some spent blossoms there. And that is Columnia, stuff that's rooting. All right, second shelf. This is Kansas City Barbecue. This is Columbia Midnight Lantern. This is Powwow. And you can see there is some, it looks like rust. It's not rust. This happens sometimes when, for plants that are variegated, they are more sensitive when you repot them. They just are. So this isn't hurting anything, and it'll grow out eventually. These, I potted these up. This is E.K. Pracasia creolca, and if I'm not mistaken, so is this one. You see these lighter leaves? These are going to go very soon. They have served their purpose, and the newer leaves are coming in here. This is Cajun's Code Blue. This is a species. This is Pendula, I think. No, this is S. confusa 790. And it almost looks like it has powdery mildew, but it doesn't. It's just got really, really hairy leaves. That's just how it grows. And this is just marring from not being cared for really well. This is Linda Darnell, a trailer. Walk around here. This is Jersey Blue Dreams. This is Smooch Me. This is Columnia Firebird. This is Ramblin' Right Along. I'll walk back around now. This is Teneri's Royal Blue Trailer. And this is Species Rupicola. And you know what? It's hanging on so far. I'm gonna have to take some blossoms off, but I'm crossing my fingers that this one holds on for another week, because if it does, I will take it to the Illinois State Show. So now, we don't have a big box violet, but we do have, there's my old television. This is Cajun's Cherished Hope. And one of the things, I know I told you that I learned something about the Cajuns from Belinda, the hybridizer. She said they don't like a lot of light. So I've moved it over here into so it's growing in natural light, and we'll see how it does. I'm hoping that it might do a little better for me. That's the look at what's on the stands. I'll be right back. So yeah, things are crowded here in the sunroom for the moment. I have a remedy for some of that. We'll see how it goes. And I do want to apologize that you felt like you were on a Tilt-A-Whirl last week, which happens to be my favorite carnival ride, to be on that Tilt-A-Whirl. I did make a concerted effort to go more slowly this week, but I think it's still a little a little bit of the Tilt-A-Whirl. Or if any of you used to watch the old SCTV, which was a hilarious Canadian television show with the late John Candy, it would be, 3D House of Steak. 3D House of Violets, actually, I should say. So I am working on holding that camera a little more steady, and I think in the future I will take the lids off the domes before I start to film so that you don't see pictures of my hand or the tray, and I'll try to be a little more cognizant of that. So thank you for drawing my attention to that. So hey, it's time to get the bail money ready. And as I mentioned, I don't have any, as far as I know, that there aren't any shows on the AVSA website. At least there are no upcoming shows for next week on the AVSA website when I checked today. So the next one that I saw was in July, and I will be checking. But guys, convention is over, but convention is coming again in 2016, and I just want to put the bug in your ear now that the National African Violet Convention in 2016 will be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is a really fascinating place, and I hope that you will consider going. So thank you. Guys, it's time to keep moving forward. I really want to thank you for joining me this week and for coming back. And if you're new, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for the ratings and star reviews on iTunes. Those are so helpful. And if you haven't done that and you get the podcast from iTunes, I know you hear this a lot. If you watch other podcasts, you hear it as well. But it is very, very helpful. And it brings up the profile of the podcast so that it's more readily found for people. Thank you for joining me. I hope your days this week will be filled with all the things you love. Good growing. I'll see you next time.